He was born into a family where his carpenter dad did nothing but to beat the hell out of him. He was abused by his friend's mother at the age of 10. He contemplated suicide as a teenager. Yet he is the mastermind behind 17 feature films, 20 stage plays, 7 television shows, and he was a New York Times best-selling author. How did Tyler Perry move from being nothing to becoming a billionaire even in a pandemic? This is what we'll be sharing in this episode. Stay glued. Hello Impact Maker, welcome to another broadcast of Life Transitions Today, where I share tips and tactics to help you maximize the in-betweens of life. I'm Dele Ayo Bankole. Tyler Perry was born into a family where he suffered a lot of abuse, but he grew out of all of the abuse and he became the epitome of the American dream. How did Tyler Perry move from poverty, move from abuse, move from low self-esteem to becoming a world-class figure? While Tyler Perry was contemplating what life was all about, on one of those occasions he was watching Oprah Winfrey's show and he had a statement that changed his life, that if someone can try to write down his thoughts, it has a way of healing the person. So Tyler Perry found healing by writing down his thoughts. And that was how he became one of the most sought after screenwriters all over the world today. I have decided to carve an acronym from the Oprah Winfrey Network OWN to drive home the point I want to share today. So what lessons can we learn from Tyler Perry's story, and how can we also begin to lay the foundation for building influence, impact, and of course income in the realm of billions? Number one, own your purpose. Tyler Perry had every reason to be bitter, to be angry. He had every reason to commit suicide, like he contemplated. But at some point, he got the spark of inspiration that made him to understand that the essence of life is up to him. Whatever he did with his life was up to him, and he had to live up to that. He saved up to $12,000 for him to produce his first show, I Know I Have Been Changed. The show wasn't that successful, but he kept pushing on. To test the validity of his beliefs, he kept pushing himself from one limit to another. Even when it looked like nobody was going to give him a space to shine his light, he kept creating his own lampstand and he kept blazing the trail, irrespective of what people felt about him. So the first lesson, own your purpose, own your essence. My number 2 tip from Tyler Perry, own your process. In 2007, we will say yes that Tyler Perry was successful, but in 2012, it did something that was very strange. It teamed up with Oprah Winfrey and brought scripted shows to Oprah Winfrey Network. And of course, some of the shows, the haves and the have-nots, became a world-class masterpiece. We will look at it and say, how can someone who is already successful team up with another person? Well, probably that was Tyler Perry's way of learning the ways of billionaires. At that point, Oprah Winfrey was already a billionaire. So teaming up with Oprah Winfrey was a way of learning the ropes of how to think and behave and learning the structures of making billions. And if he becomes a member of that club today, you will understand that he actually did the right thing by moving with Oprah Winfrey Network. He owned the process. No matter what you think, he's a billionaire today. One final lesson from Tyler Perry today, own your product. Yes. One of the challenges that many people have is that you have some very great ideas and some very great skills, but then you are giving it away to somebody else. At some point in your life, we need to get to that point where you begin to create your own product, you own your process, and of course you also own your product, because the person who owns the product eventually owns the money. Yes, you may make a name by being on another person's platform, but who owns the product is very important. One of the vital lessons that Tyler Perry learned from Oprah Winfrey was to learn to own his own product. I think this is one of the reasons why it took him a number of years before he began to feature on other people's movies. All the movies he was acting from the start of his career were all written, produced, and directed by himself. He owned everything that he did. Okay, so that's all the tips I want to share with you today. I know sometimes we are in confusing moments and we're thinking, how do I get out of all of this? I believe we have learned something from the life of Tyler Perry today, which will be very useful for you to move on to the next phase of your life and even to thrive. Remember, own your purpose. You cannot give the control of your life to someone else. You need to own your own life. And number 2 is that own your process. Yes, go through the process by yourself, for yourself. People can give you ideas, they can give you tips, but what you do eventually with whatever it is people tell you, it's up to you. Third tip is that own your product. You must get to some point in your life where you begin to own your own product, not giving control to someone else, but you being in charge of your product, being in charge of everything that you have. I believe you've learned some tips from this today. You can please drop your thoughts in the comment. I'd like to know, what other thing do you think we can learn from the life of Tyler Perry that made him this amazing? Just before you go, if you found value in this video, why don't you just click the like button and click subscribe. Yes, turn up the notification bell so that you can get some amazing videos that will be coming even after now. Till meet again in the next episode, keep grinding, keep winning, and keep bringing in the laurels. I believe in you. I'm Dele Ayo Bankole.